Patch 0.27 is finally here, and while there are literally pages of patch notes, most of them are bug fixes and small tweaks. So instead of reading every line to you, I want to focus on a handful of changes that I think are going to have the biggest impact on how we actually play Monsters and Memories. Number 1. Class Revamps. This patch, we finally got Monk, Fighter, and Cleric class redesigns. We've been waiting not at all patiently for these redesigns to happen, and we are all hoping the remaining 9 get their time to shine before early access. We're halfway there, so it's looking good. I don't main any of these classes, but here's my best attempt to break down the redesigns. The Monk got some more abilities. The elemental theme has been replaced with a more spiritual one. The 3 combat styles each have a distinct purpose, and the class now has dedicated tools for mobility, pulling, and chaining abilities together. It looks like the developers are leaning into Monk as a fast, technical melee class that rewards planning and positioning rather than simply punching things really hard. The Fighter was expanded. The biggest addition is the new Vengeance system that builds as you take damage and can be spent on powerful attacks or self-healing. Fighters are also leaning much harder into the Master of Arms fantasy with abilities tied to specific weapon types, new threat management tools, and even some party synergy with the redesigned Monk. Overall, it looks like tanking is becoming a much more active role instead of simply standing there and soaking the hits. The Cleric was probably the most conservative redesign of the 3, which frankly fills my lazy heart with joy. I've played a Cleric before, and it's honestly a sit-on-your-ass playstyle, and I kind of like that. The developers didn't try to reinvent the class, they doubled down on what it already does well. Clerics are now an even stronger dedicated healer with their own unique healing toolkit. They have several ways to prevent damage before it happens, improved defenses thanks to heavier armor and shield blocking, and a much cleaner buff system. I think most clerics will be happy with the redesign. The question isn't whether they can heal, they absolutely can. The real question is, why bring a cleric instead of a druid or a shaman? Is being the best healer enough, or do players want clerics to contribute something uniquely cleric-y beyond raw healing? I'm going to let the clerics hash that one out in the forums, where I'm sure the discourse will be rational, polite, and entirely blameless. Now, before we move away from clerics, it wouldn't be fair to deprive you of the true cleric drama from patch day. While their fellow healer, the druid, was lovingly gifted 1 copper replacement spells, clerics were forced to rebuy theirs at full price. The developers eventually compensated fighters, monks, and clerics for their deleted spells, but not before the game chat descended into absolute chaos for an entire evening. There is nothing quite like watching grown adults collectively lose their minds over spending imaginary digital coins in a game they played precisely $0 to download. Whether or not that technically qualifies as irony, it made for about 4 hours of spectacularly entertaining chat. Number 2, Jewelry Rework. The Jewelry Rework received its time to shine in the complaints department as well. Jewel crafting got a pretty significant overhaul. Common jewelry was simplified, so each piece now focuses on a single primary stat, and the number of gem types has been reduced to just 7. That 7/7 jewelry is no more. Now it's just 7, or scaled down accordingly. I'll put the new gems on the screen for you. Basically, the developers want the best jewelry in the game to come from named monsters and rare magical recipes, giving players a stronger reason to chase exciting loot while keeping common crafting useful without overshadowing the bigger rewards. So this is where the drama happened, because every single piece of dual stat jewelry in existence was abruptly chopped down to a single stat. And surprise, surprise, it wasn't necessarily the stat you were praying for. My personal 7 strength, 7 wisdom set was suddenly converted into just strength. As a druid, losing that wisdom was a massive hit. Now, some might argue that opting for a strength-wisdom hybrid in the first place wasn't the wisest decision, but I do carry too much stuff. I have a hoarder-level stuff problem. Maybe group therapy can help me with that. Number 3, outdoor buff changes. This one may not sound exciting at first, but I think it's going to have a noticeable impact on group play. Until now, players could cast outdoor buffs and carry them straight into dungeons. With patch 0.27, that changes. Outdoor buffs can no longer be cast indoors or in dungeons, and if you enter one of those areas with an outdoor buff already active, its effects are simply disabled until you head back outside. I suspect this is all about preserving class identity and encounter balance. Outdoor buffs are designed to make traveling and adventuring in the world easier. They're not there to become mandatory dungeon buffs. It also opens the door for designers to create dungeon encounters without having to assume every group is walking in fully buffed from outside. Now, as long as the mobs also follow these rules, I think it's a fair design choice. We have to see how it feels in practice, but I can understand what the developers are trying to accomplish. Number 4, Fishing Overhaul. I love fishing, and fishing got some attention this patch. Instead of making a single roll every time you cast your line, the game now performs multiple rolls during each fishing attempt. Your choice in rod and bait also matters more, with matching equipment reducing the time it takes to catch certain fish and improving your chances of landing them. The developers do note that this is only the first step. Fishing is still a cast and wait activity right now, but you'll see more feedback during the process as they continue to build out the system. Fishing also ties into the broader trade skill updates. Fish can now be cooked, used in alchemy recipes, and food crafted through cooking now provides stat buffs. That makes fishing more than just a way to pass time. It becomes another way to support your character and contribute to the game's crafting economy. Number 5, Sense Heading. This one is short, but I know it's going to make a lot of players happy. Sense Heading has finally been added to the game. If you've ever wandered through monsters and memories convincing yourself that you are going the right direction only to end up completely lost, you'll understand why this is such a welcome addition. It's one of those classic MMORPG skills that doesn't sound flashy, but it makes navigating the world feel much more natural. Instead of constantly relying on landmarks or trial and error, you now have another tool to help orient yourself as you explore. As a class that can naturally tell you where north is, I feel I should have been handed a massive head start on leveling this skill. But did the developers agree? Did they grant me the spatial respect I deserve? No, they did not. Leveling up Sense Heading is how I actually spent patch day, and seeing you have no idea which way you are facing was only mildly anger-inducing when I knew full well I was facing the west gate. Number 7, Food Buffs and Trade Skill Changes. The trade skills received a number of updates in this patch, but one of the biggest is that food crafted through cooking now provides stat buffs when consumed. Fish, as I mentioned, can also be cooked, and they've been incorporated into both cooking and alchemy with new recipes to support those professions. Beyond that, tanning has been expanded with new components and improved resource yields, while mining has been streamlined by reducing the number of profession gems that can drop. Combined with the jewelry rework, these changes should make gathering materials a little less impactful on your bank space. I think these changes let us know that the devs are thinking about crafting and are focusing on making it a meaningful part of progression rather than something you only dabble in once in a while. Number 8. Character hair and beard updates. And finally, let's end on hair. Someone with a hairstyle that peaked in elementary school is probably the wrong person to make any comments, but this patch includes a fresh round of character art updates with new hair and beard options for dwarves, wood elves, ogres, deep elves, and deep gnomes. There are also improvements to weapon models, item icons, and a handful of creature models. Now, throwing deep elves and deep gnomes into the patch notes was a bit of a low blow, considering they aren't even available for selection yet. But let's feast our eyes on those dwarves. They look like they spent the afternoon at a chaotic playdate with my 7-year-old niece. Putting braids and ponytails onto literally anything with a follicle is pretty much her entire operating procedure. I do miss the original elf hair. I liked the sharp lines of the original hairline. As someone that deeply respects a good fringe, I'm all for those micro bangs. But you cannot pair precise micro bangs with ends that look like they were cut with rusty shears. Obviously, I'm not Chris Appleton here, but I know how to rock a bang. And one does not match a pristine razor-sharp bang with rat-maud jagged ends. It's a crime against hair. It is an affront to stylists everywhere. Anyway, I am happy for the added variety. Since your character is something you'll be looking at for hundreds of hours, it's always nice to see the art team continuing to refine the game's look as development progresses. So that's patch 0.27. There are plenty of other fixes and quality of life improvements in the full patch notes, but these are the changes that stood out to me. What I like about this update is that it doesn't feel like the developers are just adding more stuff. Okay, well, that chess thing was interesting, but overall, they are refining systems that were already in the game, classes are getting clearer identities, crafting is becoming more meaningful, combat mechanics are being polished, and even smaller features like sense heading and updated character models help the world feel a little more complete. With early access getting closer, that's kind of the progress I was hoping to see. Now, I would love to hear from you. Which change are you most excited about? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always, until next time, keep exploring, and I'll see you in the next world.